We all love to see a hero triumph, and sometimes we like to see the villains win too, but usually we want to see the villains lose. But sometimes they lose so badly that they know where they belong, and that's what we're exploring today, so let's do it. In at 10, Reverse Flash. Following the Anti-Monitor crisis and the birth of the new multiverse, Eobard Thawne's spirit within the CW-verse had merged with the consciousness of Harrison Nash Wells alongside the other versions of Wells from the previous multiverse. With Eobard's body being a replica of Earth 1 Wells, it kind of gave him a way to get into that amalgam. Months after that though, the Speed Force reassembled Eobard to help Barry in a battle against August Hart, who's Godspeed, where they successfully defeated him in a ridiculous, absolutely, I hate to say dumb, but dumb lightning lightsaber battle. I'm not even kidding, they made lightsabers out of lightning. But then Reverse Flash, being Reverse Flash, attacks Barry, and then Barry just literally freezes him and throws him. Realizing that Barry's speed was insurmountable, Eobard withdrew from the fight to fight another day, but then harnessed the power of the negative Speed Force, becoming its host, its avatar as the show calls it, and then triggers the event known as Armageddon, where it created a plan to make his own version of Flashpoint called Reverse Flashpoint, where he was the Flash and Barry was Reverse Flash. However, as the timeline was restored to its original state, the fabric of existence sought to erase Eobard from history. So yeah, even his connection to the Speed Force couldn't save him because Flash severed it in order to save his life. As a consequence, Eobard was then incarcerated in an Argus prison on Lian-Yu, where he would then have to live out the rest of his days. He literally attacked Flash, and Flash made him stand still. So yeah, I'm counting it, okay? In at 9, Norman Osborn. After the collapse of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Carnage symbiote was secured in a lockbox in a privately run vault at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Agents Crane and Coleman infiltrated the lockbox and stole the symbiote, delivering it to their employer Norman Osborn. After receiving the symbiote, Osborn bonded with it to become the new Carnage, hoping that it would be the key to regaining his Green Goblin persona. While the symbiote initially seized control of him, Norman offered to teach it more nuanced and sadistic ways to kill, which was an offer that the symbiote eagerly accepted. The symbiote turned over control to its new host, restoring his appearance and purging the body of the nanites that prevented the goblin from re-emerging. So Osborn then used the symbiote to attack Phil Urich, and after pretending to be mortally wounded in a rematch against Spider-Man as the Green Goblin, he unveiled his new partner by transforming into the Red Goblin. Osborn then used the symbiote to great effect, incapacitating Spider-Man's allies and loved ones and bonding a portion of it to his grandson Normie Osborn to turn him into the Goblin Child. Spidey was only able to defeat Red Goblin by taunting Osborn, saying that killing him would actually only give Carnage the credit and not him, which caused Osborn to have like this internal crisis for whatever reason, and he ripped the symbiote off, resulting in a swift defeat. So yeah, no, Osborn definitely figured out who was boss there. It was Carnage. In at 8, Joker. Injustice is probably one of the most popular alternate Earth stories from this generation, maybe next to Flashpoint, but thanks to the Mortal Kombat inspired fighting game by the same name, Injustice, and it was actually made by NetherRealm as well. This is an Earth where Joker managed to trick Superman into thinking he was fighting Doomsday when he was actually beating up Lois Lane. That was already bad enough, since we know how Superman gets in other worlds when his wife dies. However, this time she was also carrying their unborn child, which he only found out about after the serum wore off and she was dead. This sent Superman into an understandable fit of rage, but he killed the Joker much to Batman's dismay, like hella fast. This one action causes Superman to go nuts, and then it's the one thing that everyone feared, but then he started the regime and you know the rest of the story. But I mean, the Joker is always like, oh, Batman's not gonna kill me, and then he does it to Superman, and he's like, oh, Superman's a good guy, he's not, and then Superman kills him. I think that that's it's a good synergism. Is that the word? I don't know. It's a good thing. It is 7, Loki. Alright, we all know about the Hulk, and you all love him. So much so that even suggesting that MCU Captain Marvel could beat MCU Hulk apparently deserves 3 years of hate, even though it was my second video. ever. However, the Hulk has defeated a god, which is no easy feat. In the first Avengers movie, which is the time I'll be referring to because it ridicules Loki, Hulk beat Loki down so hard that even years later, come Thor Ragnarok, Loki was still scared of him, which is pretty awesome. Okay, you know the scene. It's iconic. Hulk picks up Loki, then smashes him around a million different ways like a kid who just got their first Barbie doll. He just does the one because he smashes him on the ground over and over again, but it's still hilarious and one of the best scenes in the MCU. Hulk beating down Loki is such an iconic moment now, and even before this, he punched Thor in the face and knocked him across the room. Safe to say that Hulk deserves to be on this list because Loki got put in his place right then and there, and it was so good. Even though I've been hated for mentioning MCU Hulk. And at 6, Condiment King. I think this one is pretty obvious, okay? I mean, Condiment King was meant to be an embarrassing villain, but the first meeting between him and Batman in Batman the Animated Series is absolutely amazing. The Condiment King first appeared in the episode Make 'Em Laugh. Voiced by Stuart Pankin, he's a whimsical character and made many condiment-based puns, which of course I'm going to love. For example, the big bad bat guy, I knew you'd catch up with me sooner or later. How I relished this meeting. You, the dynamic Dark Knight, versus me, the conceptual Condiment King. Come on, Batman, let's see if you cut the mustard. So freaking good. However, Batman wasn't down for games. As Condiment King said, cut the mustard, Batman punched him in the gut, to Condiment King's surprise. And then Batman proceeded to tell him point blank, look, Mustard Man, or whatever you call yourself, obviously you're new at this, so I'll go easy on you as long as you give back the loot and promise to never do this again. So, after that, the Sultan of Sauces falls, slips on ketchup, and then falls off a ledge, grabbing onto a neon sign to save himself. But yeah, definitely deserved this list. Batman just basically said, stop, you aren't ready for this. Halfway through into number 5, the Spot. As a scientist working for the Kingpin, Dr. Owen was assigned to reproduce the radiation levels of the vigilante cloak to find a way to artificially mimic his powers. Working late one night, he succeeded, creating a solid black circular portal. In doing so, however, the drain on the city's power became so great that a blackout washed over the whole city, causing the portal to shimmer and destabilize. Fearful of losing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Owen stepped into it, which is a really dumb move, but the power shortage caused the portal to send him into a different dimension and then, you know, kinda cut off. It was a place where it was half darkness and half light. When Owen emerged back into his lab, his body had undergone a radical transformation. The portals from other dimensions had adhered to his skin, covering him with black spots from head to toe. The reason I'm bringing him up is because in Across the Spider-Verse, spoiler alerts by the way, Miles beats Spot by literally putting him through his own portals and tying him, basically through himself. So he was literally put in his place. In it for Reverse Flash, again. Look, evil speedsters love to gloat about how fast they are, okay? How they're faster than a speeding bullet and how I'm the fastest man alive, Flash. So, when Reverse Flash ends up getting popped in the head by Thomas Wayne in the Flashpoint timeline, that's definitely gonna be hilarious. It was so Barry could access enough of the Speed Force to save the world and bring Thomas's son back, but it actually still killed Thawne. And while it was that way at the time, it actually didn't happen. Apparently, Thawne had started vibrating as fast as he possibly could to slow the destruction of his brain, and this gave him more time to avoid death and gave him the ability to hold a grudge, because of course it does. Humiliated by getting killed by Batman of all people, which immediately puts him on this list, Thawne sets out to be even worse than usual to Batman, ripping up the letter that Thomas gave Barry to give to Bruce, which was the only contact Bruce had ever had with his parents since they had died. The only contact that he had had with a living version, which is just insane. Like, if you're gonna be that petty, you were definitely put in your place. Facts. Getting close to the end, in number 3, Ares. Sentry is an absolute powerhouse, so it's no surprise that he's fought and beaten plenty of people. But how he beat Ares is one of the most hilarious things I think I have ever heard. Sentry used to be a part of Norman Osborn's Avengers, who went to Asgard in an attempt to lay siege and claim it, because, you know, it's Norman Osborn's Avengers. However, the Marvel version of the Greek god of war did not like like that idea. So after he learned of Osborn's intentions, he came down to kill the Green Goblin. But Ares did not anticipate Sentry's absolute monster truck arms, because Sentry picked him up and then tore Ares in half. This man tore a Greek god in half. He absolutely obliterated the god of war without making a sweat. If that doesn't show you the sheer power of Sentry and how overpowered Marvel thinks that Superman is, nothing will show you, and that's a lost cause. But still. Penultimately, in at number 2, Lord Death. Lord Deathman was a secondary villain that has not appeared too many times in the DC universe, but he has a rather peculiar ability. He can't actually die. Like, whenever he is on the verge of death, Lord Deathman will enter a trance-like state and resurrect himself. How does one stop an enemy that always comes back to life no matter how many times you kill him though? The answer to that one for Batman is a rocket. Yeah, but seemingly not a bat rocket, which is unfortunate. You see, in the comics line where they fought, Batman straps Lord Deathman to a rocket and sends him into deep space. There, he's just gonna spend all eternity floating around in the cold vacuum of the final frontier. But like, come on. Someone who is literally named Lord Death and can resurrect himself being beat by just literally, like, not even like Sentry level of a guy, just literally a guy. A guy dressed as a freaking bat would be pretty humiliating if you ask me. Okay, I mean, it would have been worse if it was Batman using a bat rocket to send him into bat space for the rest of Baternity, but yeah, I figured that was a bat of a stretch. And finally, in at number 1, Royal Pain. That's right, I managed to shoehorn Sky High into another top 10 list. Royal Pain from Sky High is definitely a villain that was put in her place. Beginning as a teenager named Sue Tenney in the 1960s, she possessed the remarkable power of technopathy while attending the high school of Sky High. Unfortunately though, despite her capabilities, the school didn't really understand it and they underestimated her and sent her to sidekick class. So, the unjust treatment and, you know, all the bullying from being a technopath when computers had just started coming out caused Sue to, you know, get angry, feeling hurt and marginalized. So she grew up resentful and devised a plan to dismantle Sky High. She developed a powerful weapon known as the pacifier, which was capable of transforming anyone into an infant. Not even kidding. Adopting the alias of Royal Pain, she intended to use the pacifier on the superheroes at Sky High and establish her own academy to train them as supervillains. However, her scheme was intercepted by the Commander and Jetstream, which are the parents of the main character Will Stronghold. During their confrontation, the pacifier exploded, which actually made Sue turn into an infant. So yeah, they thought that she had died in the blast, but no, it transformed her into a baby, and then she had to go through Sky High again. And not only Sky High, she had to go through puberty again, which, you know what, is the pediatric version of getting a taste of your own medicine, and it's cough medicine, baby. That's right, it's that Buckley's stuff that all the kids have to have and hate. Anyways, if you want to see more supervillains and superheroes, be sure you click the video that's popping up on screen now. Thanks for watching.